Ach mayen uber mikve mayim iye toir. In this posik, there are described two kinds of mikvois. One is mayon, a spring, that the water is floating, and even though it's zoichlin, it's kosher. And the second kind is uboira. It's a well that is dug, and in the boir that was dug comes in water from the rain, and that's a kosher mikveh, but that is only if it's mikveh mayim, ashbeiren. The water stays there and doesn't go, it's not zeichlin. These are the two kinds of mikvois that he says in this posik. Usually in those days they didn't have large cities because they didn't have water in the pipes with pressure, so they could have only little cities near a nahor or on maayonis, that there are beires and maayonis. When they made a mikveh from a mayon, so they could go in this mikveh even though it is zeichlin. But when you have to go to mikveh mayim, that you dig a boiler and the rainwater stays there and stays there for the whole summer, then there is a problem. Because in those places there is no rain. In Israel, in Eretz Yisrael and Bovel, there is no rain on summer, only on winter. So the water that you want to go in the mikveh stays in the boiler from the winter till the end of the summer. Obviously the water is not so clean in the end of the summer, and therefore ladies didn't like to go in this non-clean mikveh. They would wash themselves in other ways and they would say it's kosher as a mikveh. So the Chachamim made the takone that even if you go to mikveh and that after that you wash yourself other ways, you still have to go to mikveh, to the non-clean mikveh, and stay with this. So it wasn't so easy. Not every city had mayones, and the boiler is not always comfortable to go there. So the easiest way is if it's by a nahor, then you go to the nahor. The nahor is clean water, but it is zeichlin. So what is the din of nahor? In the nahor there is both. There are maayonis in the bottom of the nahor, that the water comes out from there, and there is rain water. Either the rain that goes directly into the nahor, either snow goes in the high mountains and after the summer slowly it comes down to water in these boires. So what is the din of a nahor? Could a lady go to the mikveh in a nahor? So there is a machlekes of Shmuel and Avua de Shmuel. Says the Gemara, Avua de Shmuel, Ovid lehu mikvois shel mayim mechonosim esamach lenor umamshich leteichon mei hanor v'tevleshon b'yeme de nissen umafze.
What's my limit of spend money or items? Some items on change to everything else.
Am I on? So the Gemara says that in the time of Nisan, where there was a lot of rain during the winter, so if the most of the water is coming from the rain and it is zeichlin, it's not kosher for a mikveh. So he built a mikveh near the Nahor. The water comes from the Nahor in a mikveh, and that water is not zeichlin. But in the end of the summer, by Tishrei, he didn't need that. Because summer there was no rain, so all the water in the Nahor is coming from the Mayon. So therefore, he just made, they should have a secure place. They shouldn't be shy that people will see them, and on the floor was something that their feet shouldn't go into the earth. But he didn't need to make a separate mikveh, because in the winter the Nahor is not kosher for a mikveh. He had to build a mikveh near the Nahor. In summer, the Nahor is kosher for a mikveh, so he didn't have to build a second. That's what he did. But his son, Shmuel, disagrees with him. And he says that the Nahor is kosher for a mikveh even winter. Even though there is so much rain, but there is also a lot of water coming from the of the Nahor, from the Mayon, the Mayonis. So therefore, since the most of the water comes from the Mayonis, so it's kosher even if it is zeichlin, and he didn't have to build a separate mikveh for them in Nisan. This is what the Gemara says. So there is 2 days in the Gemara. There is 2 days in Poskim also. And these 2 days are also in the Shulchan Aruch. That he says that lechatchila we shall not go to a mikveh in the Nahor winter time. But if there is cities that have no other choice, then you could rely on the mikveh of the Nahor. As the Ramo says in Sif Beis, not to go to a Nahor. אבל יש מתירים ליטביל בנהורס כל השנה, even the winter. אף בשעת הגשומים. ואפשר השלוגים, the shlogim that come from the mountains is also make shomim. ורובו הנצב על הזכלין. Still they say it's kosher משום the ikir גידל הנור הוא ממוקם מקרי, from the Mayonis. וכן נוהג וברבע מקמס במוקם שאין מקווה. ואין לימחיס ביד הנהגן להוקל, כי יש להם ממש שיסמכו. על מי שיסמכו. There are people that pass like Shmuel, and therefore it's kosher. But if you have a choice, don't go to the Nahor in winter time till the end of the summer. Okay? But still there is not a lot of problems in going to the mikveh in the Nahor. And this is what the Alter Rebbe made the takone, how they should be able to go to the mikveh in the Nahor. Even according to those days that say that you could go to a Nahor, but in middle of the winter, it's freezing. And how could you expect the ladies to go in the frozen mikveh? Sometimes they would have to break the ice and go to the mikveh, which is very difficult. How could you rely on that? So the Alter Rebbe came up with the idea that if the ladies want to go to the mikveh, they should build a mikveh in the Nahor. which is not so hard. Build walls from wood, 4 walls and the bottom, and put it into the mikveh, to the nor. So the water that comes from the nor would be freezing. But when she has to go to the mikveh, she would spill cooked boiling water into the mikveh, so it wouldn't be so cold, so she would be able to go to that mikveh. That's the idea of the Alter Rebbe's Shitta, that you could go in the mikveh, in the nor, and in a box in the nor, and after you have 40 se'o in the box, you add boiling water, the water becomes a little warm, she could go into the mikveh. But there is a lot of problems in halacha with doing this. And Alter Rebbe has details how each problem should be solved. We will discuss all the problems and the solutions. Mainly it is maybe around 8 subjects that he found ways to suggest how to build it, and it should be kosher for everyone. The first problem is that when you make the box of mikveh and you put it into the nor, the box is a kele, and you cannot go to mikveh in a kele, even if it's in a nor. As it says in Shulchan Aruch, in Sif Vov, Sorry שלא יהיו 40 se'o של מקווה בתי הכלי, שאין טבלים בכלים. Even it's not she'uvim, but you cannot table in a kli. So how could you say, make a box and go in the mikveh in the box? So therefore the Alter Rebbe says, the solution is, you should connect the box to the walls and to the floor of the nor. After kovoi, when it's becoming part of the earth and it's not so much a kli, that's the first idea, but it's not enough, because there is a machlekes in Gemara. If if it makes it kosher, the box is first made, and then you connect it to the wall, so it's chokikoi, it's already a mikveh in a kli. Then you connect it to the wall, kovoi. So chokikoi b'seif kovoi, there is a machlekes in Gemara, and the halacha is that we cannot rely on that. It is still considered a kli, and since it's still considered as a kli, she can't go in the mikveh in that box. So what is the solution? The solution comes in the second part that he suggested, the Alter Rebbe, that you should, after you have the box, drill a hole in the floor of the box, a tefach al tefach, so it's not mekabel mayim anymore. So it's not a kli. Okay, but it's not enough. Because it says in Gemara that if you have a barrel which is open from the top and the bottom, a chovis, and you have a hole in the bottom, you could go in it in the mikveh in the yam. But there is a machlekes in the poskim that explain the Gemara that it's not enough, the hole. You have to adjust it, it should be connected to the floor. So the hole is not enough. The attaching to the wall is not enough. So you have to do both. Then it would help. So therefore he says that when you build the box, connect it to the wall and have the hole in the bottom. Both together will make it shouldn't be a kli, and it should be kosher to be table. But it is still not enough. But there is a day in the poskim that if you have a hole in the box, it's not enough. It's only enough for some things, but not for a mikveh, because it was already once a kele. After it's becoming a kele, it stays a kele. Just like we have a din in sukkah, in schach. Even you take a kele of schach from wood and you break it, you cannot use it for schach, because it was already royal kabel tumo. So even though it is a hole in the floor and attached to the wall of the nor, it's not enough. So what is the solution? So says the Alter Rebbe, make the hole before you make the box. The box is from 5 pieces, 4 walls and the floor. That piece of wood of the floor, make a hole in it right in the beginning, before you make the box. So it was never a kele. So and then if it's connected to the wall and has a hole in the bottom, all 3 together are enough. So therefore he says, first make a hole in the bottom part, then connect it all 4 or 5 pieces together, and it's still not enough because it has to be attached to the wall. So you attach it with large nails and screws that goes to the earth near the nor. And then it would be enough. It's not a kele. It was never a kele. It has a hole. It's attached to the wall. Still the Alter Rebbe says a nail from a box to the earth around the nor is not so strong. It's better it should be connected to the earth, stronger. So how do you do it? So he says, after you have the screws in, there is space between the earth near the nor and between the box. Fill it up with sand. So now the box is connected with the screws to the earth, to the sand. And then there is no problem. It could be, it's not a kele, and you could be table there. But the question comes again, it's not enough, practically. Because the whole idea is that you fill up 40 sa'o in the box, and then it's freezing, so you add boiled water in top of the 40 sa'o. But if you have a hole in the bottom, within seconds it would mix with the water of the nor, and it would be freezing again. So how could the ladies go there even if you do boiled water? It's not enough. So he came up with the idea, another detail, that under the box have on the floor of the nor, have a large piece of wood, like plywood or something. And when you put in the nails in the box to the wall and to the floor, you put it into other pieces of wood But this piece of wood in the middle, you do not connect it. It is just the box is laying in top of that plywood. So the water doesn't go out so fast. But it's not connected. Yes, it says in the bottom, the floor, you could have 3 plywoods. 2 in the side, that the box is connected to that with nails. But the middle one, you don't have nails there. If you have nails, it becomes a kele again. Even though that it was already not a kele, and it was already connected to the walls, and it was already connected a big hole in the bottom. But if you then close it, it's not good for a mikveh. The Gemara says, Chokike ulebasef kovei, is the kovei is not enough. But if kovei ulebasef chokike, you made it a kele after it was already connected to the wall, then it's enough. For what? It shouldn't be sheuvin. But it's not enough that you should be able to table in this box. So therefore, the Alter Rebbe explains that you cannot put in them nails and have another piece of wood to close that hole. Because if you close that hole, it's already a kele again, and you cannot go in it. You cannot table in it. So what is the solution? The weight of the box would be on top of that wood, so the water would go slow, wouldn't go in and out so it's easy, but wouldn't be connected. So it didn't become a kele. It is just laying on top of that. Therefore, the Alter Rebbe explains that this box, the 5 pieces of wood, the floor shouldn't be in middle of the wood. The 4 walls should be in top of the bottom wood, of the bottom plywood. Because then, when this plywood would lay in top of another plywood, it's pressing and water doesn't come out. If there would be a space, because you would attach the floor in middle of the walls, then the bottom plywood wouldn't press on the bottom on the plywood under it. So the water would still go out. So therefore, he says to make it like that, and then the weight would press on the bottom one. It should be I don't know which day it is, but there is a day the Tzemach Tzedek brings from several Nekeres that the Gemara where it says that if it's Kov Eil v'Seif Chokeke is kosher, it shouldn't be Sheuvim, because Sheuvim is Midrabanon. But if you want a table in it, it's not enough, because this is a Isur D'Oraisa. So therefore it wouldn't help if you close it with the wood. So therefore you have to leave it open. And if you leave it open, it will be cold, because the water would go streaming out, the hot water. So how could, if you don't connect it to another piece of wood, only the weight, then the heat wouldn't stay there. Till she goes down to the table, it's already too cold. So the Alter Rebbe comes out with another idea. This hole, close it with seed, lime. So why is lime better than a piece of wood? Because a piece of wood is becoming connected. So it becomes one kele. When you put lime, when you put seed in the hole, it closes the hole very well, that the water shouldn't go out so fast. But it's not becoming a kele, because it's not connected. Let's assume we take out the nails and pick up the whole mikveh, the whole box. The seed wouldn't go with it. The seed would stay at the bottom, because it's only seed. It's not connected, it's not pasted into the walls, into the wood. Seed is not pasting to wood. So that would help. The water shouldn't go out so easy, and it will stay hot for half an hour or so, so she would have enough time to go into the mikveh, and it shouldn't be cold water, shouldn't be freezing water. But still, that's not enough. Yes, the seed causes the water shouldn't go out from the hole. But there is walls, 4 walls of pieces of wood. Between these pieces of wood, the water would go out so fast. Not from the hole. By the hole you have seed. But in the middle of the walls, you don't have the seed. So the water would go out fast. And it wouldn't stay hot for you to be table. So what is the solution for that? So the Alter Rebbe says, after you have the box, smear it around all the way around with tar, like we do in the roofs. Tar helps the water shouldn't go in, so the water wouldn't go out so fast and wouldn't go in so fast, because it's with tar. Yes, on the roof, the tar causes the water shouldn't go in at all into the house, because the roof is usually a little on a slant, so that's good enough. But if you have it a straight roof, so it would stay at some time and the water would stay in it, the tar wouldn't be enough. So it would go into the house. As we know, sometimes when the hole, the leader is blocked with leaves, the water goes into the house, even though there is tar. So tar alone is not enough. It only helps. It shouldn't go fast, so it will go slow. But here comes the next question. If you have a box nailed to the walls with sand in it, between the walls and the walls of the mikveh, and you have a hole in the bottom, and you lock it with seed, but how does the water come in from the north, the first 40 sa'ot? How does it come in to the mikveh? You would have to take water from the north with something and put it into the box. So it's shuvim. So how does it help? So the Alter Rebbe explains, as we already said, tar helps, it shouldn't go fast, but a little bit goes slowly. So therefore, when you put in the box into the north today, and you wait till tomorrow, slowly the water of the north comes into the box. And that's not Maim Shuvim, because it's coming straight from the north. But after it's all in, when she has to go to the mikveh, you spill in it in top of the 40 se'ah of the nor water. You spill in it boiled water, and that hot water stays there for a while, let's say for half an hour. So in this half an hour she goes to the mikveh. This is more or less all the details how he explains how everyone should be able, because in those days, if it's a big city, you could have a lot of people paying why it is not Zeichlin. Comes the question, if it's going out slowly, it should be Zeichlin. So the din is that we have in the Shulchan Aruch, in Sif Nun Aleph, Nikov amikve umeimov noitfim me'at me'at, einivloim bekarka me'at me'at, kosher, lefi she'ein zchilot nikeres. Here also it goes slow and it's not nikeres. Yeah, that's kosher. We all know that when we build a mikveh, we try so much to make sure there is not zchila at all. The 40 se'ah from the nor goes in very slow into the empty box, and it will take him a day or 2 days till 40 se'ah would fill up, he would straight out the height of the nor with the height of the water in the box. So you have already 40 se'ah that came in slowly. Then you, in top of that, you added boiling water. So now the water in the box is a little higher than the mikveh, than the nor. So it starts going out slowly. So it's zeichlin. When it comes in from the nor, it's not zeichlin. But when it comes out, that's what he says, the Alter Rebbe, that we know from the Mesopophis, those wood that have tar are not completely blocked. It makes only they should go very slow. So goes into the box very slow, 40 se'ah, because it evens out with the height of the nor. And then when you add the boiling water, it will go out slowly, slowly till it reaches the height of the nor. That's not considered zeichlin because it goes very slow. Even though we know that when we build a mikveh, we try even a drop shouldn't go out through the walls. This is the difference what the poskim say, that if you have a box that the water goes into the floor and slowly, slowly would go out completely, then even slow is also not good. Because slow, but the whole thing would go out. But if you have a way to make sure the schille is very slow and it's top of the mikveh, higher than 40 se'ah, then it's kosher. Here it will always stay 40 se'ah because it's the height of the nor. Whatever is in top of the 40 se'ah would slowly go out, and it's not nikeres because when it goes into the nor, you don't see it coming out. You just see slowly, slowly it goes down the height of the water in the box till it reaches the height of the nor and no more. So therefore, we don't have a problem of kele, tvile bekeli. We don't have a problem of mayim shuvim, and we don't have a problem of schille. This is more or less what he was metaking, and that's how it was in those days. The Alter Rebbe said several times that he has a big, great schus for himself, that he was metaken away. Ladies should be able to go to mikveh and shouldn't be freezing when they go to mikveh. It's not only because it's hard, it's also shaila in halacha. Because when the lady goes in a place when she's not comfortable, she doesn't really watch herself. The tefillah should be ka'alocha, because she is not comfortable. So therefore, he was a great schus for him that he was metaken this. Tzemach Tzedek writes that in the last days of the Alter Rebbe, when he was in Vienna, before the Istalkes, he spoiled me'ed b'ma shetiken mikvois she'iyu yuchel l'chamemon וקדומה לי ששמעתי מאיש נאמון ששומע ממנו בנסיעוסי בדרך לפני הסתלקוסי שזה אחד מן גימל דבורים שהזקן הוא ז"ל ובחייב זכרנו יגן עלינו. It was a big schus for the Alter Rebbe that he was metaken this. As we see, there are so many details that you have to adjust that shouldn't be no shaila in halacha. This was then. After that, after the Istalkes of the Alter Rebbe, a year after, almost a year after, the Mittel Rebbe, Tzemach Tzedek, and the whole family moved in to Lubavitch. In Lubavitch was also a Nor, and they made the same way that the Alter Rebbe said. But there was still a little problem, because the Nor was very deep, and if you put the box in the floor of the Nor, it will be too low for the ladies to go so down, so deep down. In the same period, Reb Hillel in Paris also built a mikveh, and he had the same problem. The Nor was too deep. So he wrote a shaila to the Tzemach Tzedek. What should I do? Yes, he says, certainly I could do a big beam of wood till the floor of the Nor, until 20 feet high, and then build on top of that box. But it's not enough, because the Alter Rebbe says you have to fill it in with sand. It should be like it's built into the wall, not only a beam of wood. So he said, ask the Tzemach Tzedek. So the Tzemach Tzedek tells him, I had the same problem in Lubavitch, and let me tell you what I did. The Tzemach Tzedek writes to Rabbi Hillel Paritcher, Lemaise, כשעשינו מקווה פוי in Lubavitch, וגם כן מחמס עמק המים לא יוכלו להעמידו על הרצפה ממש. So what did we do? עשינו איזרוף. We took a large barrel, chovis, that goes from the top, the bottom of the Nor, till high. And we filled it up with sand, and we pressed it. Mil'u eisei offer, getretten heite, which should be pressed. ואחר כך עשו olive ritzpas minasorim, that the box should go direct on that floor that is connected to the sand in the barrel that is coming from the bottom of the Nor till the top, as much they needed. So that's what the Tzemach Tzedek did, and that's what Reb Hillel did. So it was for several years. But then, in Lubavitch, they decided that there is an easier way how to do it. Usually, when you have a Nor, if you dig a mikveh near the Nor, under the earth, the water would go slowly, sinks into the walls. If it's not too far, the water, if you would have a box, the water would go slowly from the Nor through the earth, around the Nor, till it goes into the box. So the Tzemach Tzedek says in a tshuva, according to a Maimer of the Alter Rebbe, if the box is far away from the nor, and slowly the water goes through, so the water goes through a lot of sand, so when it comes to the box, it's already considered as a mayon. What means mayon? Mayon also is water that comes from the rain, but it went to the bottom of the floor, very deep, and slowly it pops up somewhere else. And since it goes through the sand under the floor, so it becomes toher, and it becomes where it comes out is a mayon. But when they wanted to build a mikveh near the Nor in Lubavitch, they didn't dig so far from the Nor, because who knows how much water would come there. If it comes there, it has a din of a mayon, but it wouldn't come there. So they built a hole near the Nor, not too far. So usually the water would go in that box and it would stay to the height of the Nor. Then you spill in boiled water into that box. That in that box you have already 40 so because it came from the Nor under the floor. And then the water was always fresh and always warm, and that's what they used in Lubavitch for so many years, till they left Lubavitch. Maim Chaim means if it's a mayon, and if it becomes a din of a mayon, it's Maim Chaim, not only for the fact that it's kosher, even it's zeichlin. Also, for some things we need Maim Chaim from a well, and not from a nor, and not from a boyer, so this is also considered as a mayon. But that's only if it comes far away from the nor. In this case, wasn't far. So since it wasn't far, it didn't have the din of Maim Chaim, it only had a din of boyer. But there was always enough water without Shuvim and with Memseo, that when you pour over it boiled water, so many people could go to the mikveh and wouldn't be too cold and it would stay clean. That's how it was till they left Lubavitch. In the time when it left Lubavitch, a lot of things changed. And what's negate to us is they had already electricity with pressure, with pipes that goes into the house. So they start building large cities, not only near the Nor, because like they have today, they have water in places and the pressure takes it to all the houses. So they didn't live near a Nor. So how could they build now a mikveh? There is no Mekshomim where you live. So then the Rebbe Nishma was Chayker, and Chayker, what's the best way to do? Till they figured out that the best way to do, even though in Rostov they lived far from the Nor, but when you have mikveh al gabe mikveh, you have a way how it should be kosher l'chol ha'deis. I didn't read what you wrote, but that's already another subject, how they built later the Beir al Gabe Boyer. We discussed now from the beginning how the Alter Rebbe was mitaken, and how it was in the beginning in Lubavitch, how it was later in Lubavitch, till they left, and now they could live in large cities even if they are not close to a Nor. That's more or less the basics of what the Alter Rebbe's Tekone was in all the details. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer. Otherwise, that's more or less what I wanted to discuss.
So how far does the hole have to be from the river when you dig down and find water? When do you say now it's a mile? Is it?
I think it says, if I remember correctly, it's more than 100 feet, but I don't remember how much. Because it has to be far enough that the water goes through the very little holes in the earth till it comes there. But I don't remember if it says exactly how much. He brings from a mimer that if it's far, then it's good.
So the bottom line is that there's no such mikvahs anymore, anywhere.
No, because no one lives near a well or a nor and built near the nor. Building near the nor has more details. It has to be built a room over it that you should be able to keep the air there warm. And today it doesn't pay because they have already the new way of the Beir al Gavi Boyer, which is much easier in nowadays. This, in the beginning, when they started doing the other mikvahs, not on the well, it was, the Rebbe Nishmusein was very strong against it, the mikvahs HaChadoshim, and he urged our Chassidim not to go for it. But after they fled Lubavitch and they came to Rostov and they had no other choice, then he was looking for ways how it should be done in a kosher way, even there.
The non-Lubavitchers also took the Alter Rebbe's Tekone? The Mishmagim also used this?
If they wanted to go in a war mikveh, it was very difficult other ways. So they had to do this. He just found a way how to do it. In the Gemara's time and in the Gainim's time, when most of the Yidden lived in Eretz Yisrael and Bovel, it wasn't that freezing there, a little cold, so okay. But after they left Israel, Eretz Yisrael and Bovel, and they went to Germany and Poland and Russia, which is much colder and freezing in the winter, and you have to break the ice, that was already too much. So therefore he was looking for ways how to do it in the best way.
So about Zeichlin, so it comes out that with the Alter Rebbe's mikveh, overnight the water was Zeichel back to the level that it was the height of the
Correct.
river. Maybe it was even faster. We don't know how waterproof it was. So the fear is that a regular mikveh should be the same thing. So why are we so?
I explained before, because in a regular mikveh, when you have a schile, it goes slow till it goes out completely after a week. So it wouldn't stay for its own. So therefore, even a little schile is also puzzling. But in those mikveh, since it was in the middle of the Nor, it couldn't go lower than the height of the Nor. So it's only on top of the Nor, in top of the Arboim So. In top of the Arboim So, when it's very slow, the Shulchan Aruch says that Nikiv HaMikveh Umeimer.
Inside the river, but Etzem, it's also Zechila. It's just that because of the water level of the river, it's not actually going out.
So it wouldn't go out? So it wouldn't go out, it's always staying.
It's the same height like the river, but if the water moves, it all moves down.
It shouldn't move. It shouldn't move anymore because it's a box with tar and closed. The fact, if it would be the weight, if it would be higher than the mikveh,
it also goes out with the tar.
If
it only go one way.
when you have water in one side, empty in the other side, it goes slowly. But when you have in both places, and you have the tar, so there is doesn't go anywhere.
But the river is flowing, so obviously...
The river is flowing, but the box has tar, so it's not flowing in
Why
tar.
don't you say that there's water going out and new water coming in and it stays river level?
There is no, after it's river level,
If it's empty, it's easier to go in.
yes.
But it's harder to go out a little.
I'll tell you the example that you have. I'll tell you the example that you have in your house, that you have tar on the roof, and water does not come into the house because it's not, there is no pressure. If the lid would close and the water should stay there, then slowly it would come in. But otherwise, nothing comes into the house.